I really wanted to, because it's a discussion that, it's an ongoing discussion. Of course, we'll still talk more about it. And one of the things that you said about the Niger state government, I think the governors also need to do more than just talking rhetoric on TV. Yeah. So, but one of the stories that also made headlines during the week for us was the fact that the 3.7 budget padding. There's a lot of stories that are coming out, and just at the session at the National Assembly with the Senate, they were able to an extent, probably nib it on the board for them. But some Nigerians are not still having it, and it's something that we'll keep on talking. But let me have your view on that. Some persons have said that is it really padding, or is it like an appropriation that needs to be passed? To be all the checks and balances need to be done. What's your view on that? Let me first take you on that.
So my own take is this. Yeah, you may be permitted to use the word padding, but what is the budgeting process? Let's look at it. What's the ingredient of budgeting? First, you do, the budget office will send out call circular to ministries, departments, and agencies and say, let's have your budget. So around maybe June, July, that will be sent out, and then they will give them timeline within which, okay, you, MDA, how much are you expecting to get from 2024 or 2025 budget? So that call circular was always issued. And then when the timeline ends, they do the collation, send it to the presidency for the presidency input, and then send it as executive bill to the National Assembly. So it's an executive bill when the president goes to lay the budget before the National Assembly, because it's not just laying ordinary paper, it's a bill. That's why it's called appropriation law, appropriation bill. So even though the media in reporting, the
Appropriation Act.
It becomes an act after it's signed. Yeah, but it's an appropriation bill. Yeah. So now, is that the best we can have? There was a time Buhari introduced envelope budgeting. It didn't work. They discontinued with it. What we have is incremental budgeting process. So they will just look at how much were you giving last year. Let's put 5 billion on top. Let's put 10 billion on top. So there is no proper audit of implementation of last year's budget. And we have turned budgeting to hollow ritual, that we are not doing due diligence. Yes, we have Nigerian Budget Office, but Nigerian Budget Office is overwhelmed. Let me give you instance of why I'm worried about our budgeting system. When Senator Abdul Ningi was giving a defense about what they did, he said government, some agencies who are on first line charge on the Consolidated Revenue Fund do not submit breakdown of their budget. So who are these agencies? Third Fund has 700 billion in this year's budget. No breakdown. They just say 700 billion, Third Fund. UBEC, INEC, National Assembly itself,
National Judicial Council,
NDDC, National Judicial Council.
INEC.
So,
yes,
INEC, 40 billion. Yeah. No breakdown. And that's where the issue of padding comes from. Now, I think there is a miscommunication in what Senator Abdul Ningi tried to project. I, as a student of politics and governance, knows that even an ordinary 100-level economic student will know that budget has different strata, composites. So you have what is called recurrent expenditure, you have capital expenditure, you have service-wide vote, you have statutory transfer, you have debt servicing portfolio. So about 5. So when somebody is saying, I only was able to match projects, cost, and location for 25 trillion. I was like, 25 trillion, how will you be talking of project, cost, and location for 25 trillion? It's unheard of. You cannot even have, because when you say projects meaning capital expenditure. You don't do project under recurrent. What is recurrent? Overhead. All the money you use for travels and all of that. So how will you do that as a project? How will you compartmentalize salaries and wages as a project? So there's a miscommunication even in the choice of word. Because he could have said, okay, in this 28.77 trillion budget, the composite capital expenditure is about maybe 10, 12 trillion. I'm not too sure.
10 trillion.
10 trillion. God bless you.
10.7 trillion.
So that is that's the composite for capital expenditure. That is different from service-wide boats. That's different from what you are using for debt servicing. That's different from recurrent and overhead.
Yes.
Now, you lump everything together and say, oh, I can only track 25 trillion. For what? You are saying project, location, and time. That is not the ideal way to go. If you said 10 trillion that is meant for capital expenditure, I could not find 3.7 trillion located to any project. Then you are making more sense to me. You understand what I'm trying to say? But let's even drill down. Let me say this. The president erred by not giving full implementation to Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007. What does Fiscal Responsibility Act say? The budget should be submitted by September of every year. This 2024 budget was submitted on November 29. And the president said, I want this back before the end of the year. So giving them barely 1 month. And let me shock you. That budget is 2,000 pages long. How could any of those 60-year, 50-year-olds have time to read a 2,000-page document? But even let's assume without considering that they have aides that should do that reading for them. Those aides are not computers, they are not robots. They cannot read 2,000-page document. And this is not reading you are not reading Mies and Boons, you are not reading James Hadley Chase. You are reading technical documents that you need to study, make comparative analysis, and draw out salient points. Now, what they quickly did was to organize public hearing. And then they passed this thing on December 30th. So nobody really had time to do a thorough reading of the budget.
So I think that it's also a conversation that needs to continue. Nigerians just need to get a proper breakdown of what it means, of what the budget padding means. Some persons know, some persons don't. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide Ojo, for coming to our studio.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Do enjoy the rest of your weekend.